Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful week. Let's hear about it. I mean, I've always thought of Temple Beth Shalom as my extended family. So let's kvel a little. What happened this week that somebody wants to kvel about? In the northern, wow, the Aurora Borealis, Mazel Tov. That's wonderful. Did they set a date yet? Not yet. They did. Oh wow, that's usually people get engaged and they say we're engaged for a while and then, but boom, boom, good. Yes, Diana. Next week. Mazel Tov on that. Wow. Yes. Yeah, Thanksgiving's a great time for family to get together. My grandfather, may he rest in peace, always said to me, you should get together for good things in life, because if you don't, you'll only get together for the bad things. So Thanksgiving's a great reason to get together. Anybody, yes? Catherine. Oh, a baby coming, 12 weeks. First trimester going into the second trimester in Texas. Very nice. Mazel Tov. Congratulations. Yes?
My 17-year-old grandson has 4 artworks of some sort on display at a exhibit in the law office on the top floor of one of the very large buildings in Jacksonville. And
Very
after
nice.
a year, all of the works will be auctioned off. It's part of a faculty staff with only 2 students.
Okay. Did everybody hear that? No. Okay, so her grandson has artwork on display in a big building in Jacksonville, and it's going to be auctioned off for charity or for him?
No,
for charity. Very nice. So as we enter the sanctuary and enter Shabbat, I wanted to do a little guided meditation with everybody. I think it's important that we shed the week that passed before we partake in Shabbat. So I'd like everybody to close their eyes, take a big, deep cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And as you feel the breath go in through your nose and out through your mouth, let the week that passed wash away. In and out. All the things you had to do, all the things you had to go to, all the people you had to see. In with your nose and out. And as you let the breath out, let the week drain out through your feet. One more time. In through your mouth and out, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Yeah, I got a little bit. So everybody open their eyes and let's enter the holy time of Shabbat. I'm going to ask Naomi to come and light our candles. She'll be doing a reading on page 3, and then we'll do the blessings on page 4. Ted did. And if the wind is just right, the wind is right. Okay.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. Let's turn to page 6 on the bottom, and let's read responsively. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. We turn to page 10 on the bottom. It's a song I like to sing. First verse is in Hebrew, and it's all transliterated, and the second verse is in English. So if you know it, join in with me. Hachama merosh ha'ilanot nistalka, boi v'netze likrat Shabbat hamalka, hinehi yoredet hakadosha habarucha, ve'ima malachim tzava shalom u'menucha, boi boi hamalka, boi boi Ocala, Shalom Aleichem Malachei HaShalom. The sun on the rooftops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace. More people sang in the English. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. Yeah. So let's welcome the Sabbath on page 20 and 21 with Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmiyanu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad, U'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'lit hilah lecha dodi. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila lecha dodi. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi. Likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Verse 5. Hitoriri, hitoriri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela, lecha dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nikabela. Please rise for verse 9 and let's face the entrance to welcome Shabbat. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzohala, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, likrat kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nikabela. Please be seated. We continue on page 26 with the Chatzi Kaddish. Now, the Chatzi Kaddish separates different portions of our service. The part we're finishing is called Kabbalat Shabbat, the welcoming of Shabbat. Usually done at home, traditionally in Jewish history, and after this would be the part that would traditionally be done in the sanctuary after you leave your home and come. So, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba B'alma divarach irutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael Bagala u'vizman kariv V'yimaru Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Li'alam U'la'om Me'omaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yipar V'yitraman V'yitnasei V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei D'Kudusha Barichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. So after this at home, everybody would come to the synagogue, and you can imagine everybody's mulling around, everybody's talking to each other, and the leader wants to call everybody to start the service. So we do the call to worship on page 28. Please rise and pretend like you've been mulling around, right? And the prayer leader would go, Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. And after I get your attention, you would respond, Baruch Adonai And once the prayer leader sees that everybody's paying attention, I got to say the same line, right? Baruch Adonai hamavorach leolam va'ed. And now we're ready to pray. Please be seated. Are you ready? That's right. We go to page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach she'arim u'vitvuna mishanei itim Umachalif et hazmanim u'misader et hakochavim b'mishmerotechem barakia kirtzono. Please, well, hold on. No, we're not going to do it all in Hebrew. We don't all understand Hebrew, do we? So let's go to the top of page 31 and read responsively with me in English. We'll do a sentence at a time. And remember, sentences end in periods, or exclamation points, or question marks. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season fly. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Good, a semicolon doesn't end the sentence, right? Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day and night. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'avir. And let's go to page 32, and let's do the same thing. Let's do the first bit in Hebrew, and then we'll do some responsive reading on page 33. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, amcha ahavta, Torah umitzvot chukim umishpatim, otanu limadata. So join with me on the bottom of page 33. This one's a little easier for the responsiveness, right? It's separated. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise for the Shema Yisrael on page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va. Please be seated and continue on page 36. The Ve'ahavta is a central part of what we do, comes right after the Shema. It's actually one long part of the Torah. I can't hear him, can you? Oh, okay. We have someone who's going to have bar mitzvah next week, right? Or 2 weeks, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Danny, would you like to come and lead some of the service? Get up here. I thought I'd be nice, you know. All right, maybe he'll come up a little later if he wants. Yes? No? All right. So let's do the V'ahavta in both Hebrew and English, because I think it's important that we understand what we're reading. We'll do it chanting in Hebrew, and then we'll read it in English. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol vavacha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeruhu va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem emet. With me together, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. Take to heart these instructions which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are on your way, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. Right. So why do we do that? That's not part of the Torah, the emet. What's the emet from? We'll turn the page and you'll see the next word is emet. And if you translate Ani Adonai Elohechem, it's I am Adonai your God. I mean, I shouldn't be saying that, right? So we say emet, which means truth. So it's true that Adonai is our God. So it's a little thing we do there. Read with me responsively on the top of page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Turn the page to page 40. Micha Mocha, the Song of the Sea. When our ancestors left Egypt in glory and came to the sea, and they couldn't pass it. God parted the sea, and we all went in safety. Micha Mocha Ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele malchutecha. I guess that doesn't work, that melody, does it, right? Malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam ze'eli anu ve'amru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar kifat Adonai et Yaakov ugilo miyad chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai gal Yisrael. We continue on page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim Ufaros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake, and be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wing. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel and all Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Now, in our prayer book, the basic building block of the service is what? It's a brucha, a blessing, right? Blessings come simple, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Adonai, God, who brings forth bread from the earth. And Naomi did one that's a little more complex, right? Who makes us holy in commandments and commands us to kindle the lights, even though there's no commandment to kindle Shabbat lights. But before the Shema Yisrael and after the Shema Yisrael, there are blessings. And just like many other things in Judaism, the number of blessings is very symbolic. So how many blessings were before the Shema, and how many blessings are after the Shema? I'll give you a hint. The blessings here end with Baruch atah Adonai, because that's the way. So who knows? How many blessings before and how many blessings? It's in the prayer book. You can look it up. Starting on page 30, there's one blessing. Ma'ariv Aravim. There's a second blessing on page 32. Ahavat Olam, see at the bottom, it ends with Baruch atah Adonai. Then there's the Shema and the V'ahavta. Then there's that Emet Ve'emunah, right? Which ends in Micha Mocha and Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. And then Hashkivenu, which ends in that long thing. So there's four. In the morning service, the other time we say the Shema, there are three. The Hashkivenu we leave out because we're not lying down. Hashkivenu means let us lie down. So 4 plus 3 is 7, a very important number in Judaism, right? The number of blessings before and after the Shema total add up to 7, just like the days of the week. And with that, let's turn to page 44 and let's sing Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam Oti leolam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Lidorotam berit olam. So have we done any prayers yet? We've done some blessings. We haven't done any prayers. But that's what the next page is. In fact, that's what tefillah means, is prayer. If you look on page 24, sometimes it's called the Amidah because we stand. Please rise. And we'll do the Amidah or the tefillah together. And we'll do it in Hebrew until we get to page 52. So don't ask me to announce page numbers until we get there. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehila techa. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'imaot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Mageh Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav LaHoshia Morid sorry, I got it wrong. Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabbi Somech Noflim Berofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afa Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Meimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom Yahalalu chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el hakadosh. We turn to page 56. Let's sing. We all like singing on Shabbat, right? Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel u'tehile ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lecho Korav Penei Alavadecha V'chonenu Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu. Bottom of the page. V'techezena Einenu B'shuvecha L'Tzion Birachamim Baruch Atah Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato L'Tzion L'Tzion L'Tzion. Please be seated. So, if you notice, that was also a bracha, because it ends in Baruch Atah Adonai. They're all over the place if you look for them. Now, the last thing we said, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamachazir Shechinato L'Tzion. Blessed are you, Adonai, who returns Adonai's presence to Zion, to Jerusalem. Anyone who has not been to Jerusalem to see a vibrant Jewish city, I implore you, you must go. We'll be organizing a trip, I believe.
Maybe.
I'm hopeful we'll be organizing a trip that hopefully the rabbi will lead. But if not, you can get on an airplane and go. There are dozens of tours. The Israeli tour guides are expert at explaining everything. If you haven't been to Israel, you must see Jerusalem. Let's continue on page 58. And again, I'll do a few lines in Hebrew, and then we'll go to page 59 at the top and read responsively. Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu L'olam va'ed, Sor chayenu magen yishenu atahu l'dor vador. Top of page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gifts of life, wonder beyond words. For the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Continue on page 60. The final part of the tefillah, of the prayer that we do 3 times a day, but here at night we are, is Shalom Rav. We should ask for a great peace to descend upon all of us. So let's sing Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Yolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol eit u'v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasihim Leolam. Tasihim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Up until this point, the service has been kind of scripted, right out of the prayer book. But this is each of our opportunity for silent prayer in whatever words, whatever phrases you'd like. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru imruah. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru imru. Amen. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Peace among all of us. Yahaseh shalom. And now we turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing. As a physician today, I healed a lot of people. I did 13 operations today. Some were little ones, they weren't all 3-hour operations, but let's all hope that those of us who need healing can. We turn to page 253, and on our Misha Beirach list, we have Michael Ahern, Peter Clark, Carol DeWitt, the Harari family, Yocheved Barucha Bat Devora Isabel Hutchins, Bruce and Elise Kaplan, Kathy Katz, Jean Kincaid, Leslie Lato, Allison Nathan, Avraham Ben Laber, the Betzel, Joel Newman, Helen Newman, Jenna Newman, Anat Prager, Hillary Katz-Reagan, Emily Rockland, Moshe Rosenblum, Jackie Sachs, Dr. Hossein Terrari, Bonnie Tillman, Patrick Clifton, husband of Sarah Clifton, Kim Conrad, daughter of Rita Singer, Joe Coltrera, son of Kathy Katz, Beverly Gordon, daughter-in-law's mother of Amy Schwartz. Did I do that right? Your daughter-in-law's, Amy Schwartz's daughter-in-law's mother. Okay. Your daughter-in-law's mother. So there's a Yiddish word for that. Machatunim. I did a whole speech at my son's wedding about Machatunim. Yeah, it was my toast to my Machatunim. Hillel Roebuck, cousin of Dale Berman Garfinkel. Christine Ruckman, friend of Catherine Abernathy. Ann Sachs, sister-in-law of Betsy Brody. And Elizabeth Wadbrook, friend of Betsy Brody. I'm sure we have some others to add to that list. Anybody who would like, please, yes? If you remember, we'll come back. Pickle. Leslie needs to come off the list. Ken? Robert? She was on the list, but you can say her again. We can do 2 or 3 times. Ted? We wish her the best of recovery. Ruth? Lauren? We go here. Linda Granfield. Any others? Okay. So let's sing the recognizable Debbie Friedman version of Mishaberach on the middle of page 253. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Lamimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Congregational leaders like to look to the Torah as a source of inspiration for their words for the week. I believe that there's a lot in the Torah that we don't know and a lot we do know. And as I read the portion this week, I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts about it. This week's Torah portion is called Vayetze, and he left. It begs a series of questions, right? As Jews, we're always asking questions, right? Who left? Where did he leave from? Where was he going? Why did he have to leave? As opposed to the 4 questions of Passover, I will actually try to answer these questions. Right? You ever notice that? You never answer those 4 questions. Who was Jacob? From where did he leave? From Beersheba. Where was he going? To Haran. Haran was the place that his grandfather came from. Why was he leaving? He had angered his brother Esau, and he had to flee for his life. I know, these answers, they beg more questions, right? What's going on here? It's the Jewish way. You answer questions with more questions. But let me set the scene for you. Abraham, our patriarch, had one son with his wife Sarah named Isaac. And Isaac had twins with his wife Rebekah. The firstborn, Esau, and the secondborn, Jacob. Esau grew to be a big, strong man. He was a hunter, physically big. And Jacob grew to be a shepherd. And he was a little bit more the smarter one, Jacob. But like any dysfunctional family, each parent had a favorite. Jacob favored Esau, the hunter, the man from the fields. And Rebekah favored Jacob. Along the way, one day, Esau came from the field, hunting and doing his thing, very hungry, and he sold his firstborn birthright, a double portion of the father's inheritance, to his brother for some stew. No one said Esau was so smart. Well, that angered Esau a bit, but it was his own doing, so he couldn't really be too angry. Later on, many years later on, when Isaac was old and blind and dying, Rebekah and Jacob fooled Isaac into giving his final blessing to Jacob instead of Esau. You remember the story where he wore sheepskin on his, and Isaac says, I don't understand. It's the voice of Jacob, but the arms of Esau, and he gives the blessing anyway. I'm not sure Isaac was so smart either, but that's a story for another day. Esau was furious about this because the father had said, my son, go get game like I like and prepare it, and I'll give you my blessing. And while he was out hunting, Jacob and Rebekah did this terrible thing. Well, Esau was furious, and the mother Rebekah sent Jacob, her favorite son, away so that Esau wouldn't destroy him. Throughout this week's story, there's this theme of defrauding and deceit. Jacob gets to Haran, and after he has the dream of the ladder going up and down to heaven, he finds a well and discovers a beautiful girl who's there, watering her father's flocks, and he finds out it's his cousin Rachel. Cousin Rachel. He falls in love with her, and Rachel brings him back to see her father, and Jacob makes a deal with his uncle Laban that he'll work for 7 years in exchange for having Rachel as his wife. They agree, but as usual, no deed goes unpunished. After 7 years of labor, Laban, his uncle, switches the women, and Jacob actually ends up marrying Leah, the older sister. Kind of makes you think, how much did Jacob have to drink at his wedding night that he didn't know it wasn't the right girl? Anyway, so Jacob, the swindler with his brother's birthright, becomes the swindled. Well, Jacob goes back to his uncle and says, what did you do? And he says, oh, don't you know? It's our family's tradition to marry the older daughter first. Well, they agree he'll work another 7 years and get the younger daughter, and he does. And then he works 6 more years so that he can have sheep and rams of his own. He works a total of 20 years for his uncle Laban. Then it's time for him to go, and he makes a deal with his uncle Laban because he worked for 6 more years for half the flock. And Laban says, you're entitled to the speckled and the multicolored animals. Apparently the solid-colored white and black were more valuable. And Jacob said, okay, I'll accept that. Remember, Jacob was a smart man. He bred the flock so that they would give off speckled offspring. And he basically took almost all the flock. And he took his wives, and he took all his children, 12 children, 11 boys and 1 girl. The youngest Benjamin hadn't been born yet. And they go off, and Laban is furious. He's going to get back all his stuff. And he goes after them, and one of the things that Jacob didn't know was that his favored wife, right? Every dysfunctional family, they always have a favorite. His favored wife had stolen one of her father's idols, one of their statue gods. And Laban came chasing after them, saying, somebody took my idol. And Jacob says something that was really not well thought out. He said, nobody took anything of yours. If you find your idol with anyone, they'll be put to death. His favored wife had the idol. She was smart. She put it underneath her saddle on her camel and told her father that she was having her menstrual period and couldn't get up off the saddle. So she got away with her swindle. Well, Laban goes back to Haran, and Jacob goes on to Canaan, and his name is changed to Israel along the way. When he wrestles with an angel, and they change his name to Israel. And it is through him that we are all called the children of Israel. And it is through this hard but dishonest and reckless patriarch that we find ourselves associated with. So at the beginning, I said that questions beg more questions. Now, the story begs me more questions. Why is there so much dishonesty in this story? Why does wicked Laban prosper? And why did Jacob prosper from his wicked ways? And why would our ancestors write such an unflattering story in the Torah and give it to us as a heritage? You all undoubtedly will have answers to these questions yourselves, but again, here are my thoughts. Why do the dishonest prosper? Well, if we couldn't do what was wrong, we couldn't tell a lie, we wouldn't have free will. We would all be machines, robots that would only be able to do what we were programmed to do. Because of this, good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. We can't give a tit-for-tat reward. We can't be given a tit-for-tat reward and still have free will. Instead, God wants us to think for ourselves. And God gave us a guidebook called the Torah. And the most important part of the Torah is love your neighbor as yourself. This we know is the centerpiece of Judaism and ethical monotheism. So why is the story written in such an unflattering manner? I think it attests to the authenticity of the Torah. After all, if you were writing a story centuries later, as most biblical skeptics assert, you would make your ancestor and patriarch seem almost perfect, wouldn't you? Only a story written down from those who witnessed it would have the events written down in this fashion. So as you ponder your own answers to these questions, I invite you to read the story of Jacob in the Torah, starting in chapter 25 Genesis. If you do and you read the whole story, you'll find that our ancestor Israel, for whom we are named, was not a perfect person. He made many mistakes. But through determination and hard work and strive, he succeeded. And I believe he represents us all, and it represents that God doesn't want us to be perfect either. He wants us to be genuine, and he wants us to keep going. Shabbat Shalom. Do announcements. You need the mic.
I don't really, I can talk.
For K,
The mic. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. All right, Carly asked me to just let everybody know that she's doing a choir with Westport High School on Tuesday at 6:30. It's free. She would love for us to join her. Please come and celebrate Hanukkah with us as a family, as a temple family. December 18th is the first night. We're going to all light a candle. We're out here in the courtyard, and we're going to have latkes and jelly donuts, the whole bit. So we hope everyone will come. The next night, second night, on Monday night the 19th, we're going to light candles here. No food unless you bring your own, but it's just for us to be family to light candles. Tuesday's the same. We're going to be here at 6:30 every night, those 3 nights, to light candles. And of course, on Friday night, we will have regular Shabbat, but celebrate Hanukkah, maybe more latkes. What? Oh, we're having a Chinese dinner that night. It's going to be the first one we've had since we moved in here, I believe. It's $18 a head, but before Shabbat services, I think it's the 23rd. I know we're a day early to have Chinese, but it is kind of a tradition. And we're going to have dinner here and Chinese before services, so we encourage you all to come. I want to let you know that if you need your name added or deleted from Mission Barrack list, to please let Vanessa know in the office. She is the secretary here. If you need flowers, please contact Joyce Levin for any flowers. Hebrew class is as always, except that I want to remind you all, Mondays now is at 3 o'clock. This week's Onig is sponsored by you, because we didn't have anybody step up, as are the flowers are sponsored by Sisterhood, because they didn't have anyone for this week. But Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Harvey.
you're welcome. So I always thought the 25th of December was the perfect day for Chinese food. Right? I understand. good Chinese place? Where, the Yummy House? Is that where? Taipei Garden. Oh, yeah. Taipei Garden. Jewish fortune cookies. I don't know. Are they written in Hebrew? I don't think so. Okay, so let's turn to page 282. And I'll ask those who are not yet bar mitzvah to come up and open the ark as we do Aleinu. When we do Aleinu, I'd like to do page 282 and then continue on page 284 and then B'ne'emar on page 287. Come on up, guys. Yes? Yeah. Excellent job.
There you go. The boys will help you out.
Okay. Go ahead and open. Here we go. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol la'tet gedula le'otzer b'reishit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot v'lo samanu kemishpachot hadama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gohor aleinu kechol hamonam V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Page 284. Shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshav yikarov b'shamayim mimal u'shchinatu zo Begav hey meheromim hu Eloheinu enod emet malkeinu efezulato kakatuv betorato v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elevavecha ki Adonai Hu Elohim Bashamayim Mimal Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat Einod. You guys can close the ark. Continue on 287. V'nehemar Ve'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, the congregation remembers, it's this one, right?
There, it goes up here.
Okay, got to get it right. Lillian Plotkin, grandmother of Nathan Grossman. Lester Fox, father of William Fox. Fanny Fleischaker, grandmother of Kay Fleischaker. Rose Newsonoff, mother of Michael Newsonoff. Erwin Edelman, friend of the congregation. Jack Stein, father of Terry Stein. Mildred Spiro, friend of the congregation. Harry Sack, father of Betsy Brody. Minnie Elizabeth Taylor Deitch, grandmother of Andrea Caulfield. Dominic Campanelli, father of Kathleen Katz. Arthur Santman, father of David Santman. Helene Crawford, friend of the congregation. And Anne Lakich, aunt of Rachel Lakich Etheridge. Are there any other names we should mention tonight? And please join with me on page 294 for Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divarach erutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'la'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Please be seated. So we're going to do Kiddush in the other room, right? So we'll do Kiddush in the other room, but we have a closing hymn. I'd like to invite everybody to turn to page 323. One of the last pieces that Debbie Friedman ever composed was Shalom Aleichem. And I invite you to sing along with me, if you would. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch. Last time for you to sing the chorus. Let's do it. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom. We'll all convene in the social hall for Kiddush and a bite to eat. Sure.